Hi, Michael. It's great to be here with you today to talk about learning to go beyond disruption. So, the World Economic Forum tells us we need 101 extra days of learning by 2022. Help me understand how we're going to get there. I know that most learning's informal. Can you give us some examples of informal learning?
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the most effective learning opportunities come on the job through hands-on experiential challenges. And so a common and typical scenario is when you have a new hire and they're expected to maybe shadow a tenured team member and go through onboarding through observation. And job shadowing is pretty much a common example of on-the-job training. And so a typical conversation might be to a new hire, shadow several senior team members for a couple of weeks, observe the day-to-day activities and demands, and then we'll give you a chance to, try it, and we'll see what you can do. Some other examples are stretch assignments, cross-training, team meetings, having a mentor, but hopefully people are getting direct feedback and supportive guidance through these hands-on experiential opportunities on the job.
Excellent. That's good. And what about self-paced learning? If I want to learn on my own, what were some things you would suggest?
Absolutely. And this is one of my favorite topics because it's so near and dear to my heart and my function and what I do. But, some quick examples are reading blogs and articles, following thought leaders, and one of the most powerful online engines for how-to tutorials is YouTube.
Yeah.
And so, that's kind of most people's go-to resource, especially on their smartphone, is YouTube. And so, those are some examples of how you can quickly find information, even all the way to TED Talks with world-renowned thought leaders who can usually offer some insightful tips on some topics that are relevant to most people.
Okay, that's good. And I know another thing that we have something to contribute to it is podcasts. We have our Go Beyond Disruption podcast. I love listening to podcasts. My kids, who are Gen Z,
That's right.
They love podcasts. I mean, they live on podcasts. They don't even want to watch TV. They want to watch podcasts. So I think podcasts are a great way as well. There's not a lot of time, though.
Yeah.
So everybody's super busy, and I have had our team members tell us that taking time out of the workday to make time for learning is complex. So what do you suggest, especially when we're talking about more informal ways of learning?
Absolutely. So it really comes down to taking ownership of our time and having a desire, establishing a desire, or maintaining a desire to grow and develop. Learning a habit, maximizing opportunities to learn, whether it be during your commute, maybe in the car, on the train for some people, while you exercise. One of my go-tos is during my lunch break. So I bookmark articles, or I'll email articles sometimes to myself, or some of my team members, and I exchange information and share article links. And so sometimes I'll look while I'm eating at lunch and read some of those short articles. Traveling is prime time, Claire. When you're at an airport terminal, you're waiting on that flight nowadays, especially with some of the delays. Those are excellent opportunities, whether it's a printed magazine or a downloaded ebook to your smartphone or tablet. Most people really enjoy trying to catch up on professional development while they're traveling.
Excellent. So you're making it sound much less daunting, our 101 days.
Good.
Talk to me a little bit more. We talked a little bit about, but talk to me a little bit more about peer-to-peer learning, because that's clearly another way that we learn. Right. I learn from you all the time.
And likewise. So it's all about learning from others. And, who are the people that you can, gain something from, whether it be a counterpart, a supervisor, in one-on-ones. You could join a community of practice. Typically, those are online around whatever your job function is. You can even enable notifications, so that when one of your thought leaders posts an article on Twitter or LinkedIn, you can get that notification and see what's going on and stay current. Definitely communities in forums like on LinkedIn have a lot of rich dialogue. And so that's another great opportunity to learn from others with peer-to-peer.
And I think, again, kind of like what you said earlier, it's about cutting out a little bit of time of every day to do some of that, whether it's at the beginning of your day or at your lunchtime or on your way home. All right, so the more traditional learning or formal learning, lots of choices. How do people choose?
So my best advice that I can give is to focus on the course objectives. Fortunately, there are so many courses available. There's so much professional development out in the marketplace. You can afford to be picky and selective with what you choose to pay for with your own personal money or with your company's money with professional development if you're fortunate enough to have a budget for that. But you want to come down to managing distractions, setting reminders, and making sure that the learning level aligns to your needs. For example, at a beginner level, intermediate, or advanced. But then I also want to make a recommendation to self-boost, which means, set reminders and look back at your notes. Really make time to try to transition that content and that skill development from short-term memory to long-term memory.
And one of the ways that I've seen some of our teams do it is somebody goes to a conference and then they come back and they share with their colleagues what they've learned. Those are great examples. I know for me, for the profession, one of my other favorite examples is our Engage conference because it's a formal learning environment that has lots of informal networking opportunities, and there's so many different choices of kinds of activities that you can engage in. There's really something for everyone.
That's right. Absolutely.
Michael, thanks for taking time to talk to me about
My
this
pleasure.
today. The 101 days now seems easy.